after the second episode of Hard Knocks would really only get better. And it did. It got better. I thought it got better last night.
Yeah.
Episode 3 in the books.
It still moved as quick as a three-toed sloth chasing a caterpillar. Slow.
I didn't feel
was
that as
still
much
slow.
last night.
Yeah, still slow.
Sylvia and I were the first ones to hop on our Dr. Pepper postgame on all of our.
Yes, you guys
to watch
were.
it on YouTube
I
every
started
week.
a half hour later than you guys.
Yeah, because you were behind watching
So
the
I'd
episode.
gotten 35 minutes in. You guys already on. That's when I chimed in.
But Sylvia and I said the same thing. And then you said it when you came on. You used the term football porn, and it's like Sylvia and I were sort of alluding to that. I said for geeks like us, this was a little bit more in our wheelhouse, just from the way it started. Like Eberflus sitting in his office with Caleb Williams, talking about the good things that happened in the Buffalo game. At this point, they're just recapping Caleb's first action in that Buffalo game. What do you see here pre-snap? Oh, middle closed, single high. What do you see? What did they do? 2-man. Good. Let's go through it. Like seeing that stuff, the coach, the quarterback talk about it, talk about his preparation for the game. What do you think? What Caleb thinks that he got out of it? Like that stuff was all good. I liked it. I liked the way it started. I like how hands-on Matt Eberflus appears to be with his quarterbacks. Same with Tyson Bagent. At one point during practice, he's standing on the sideline, right next to Tyson Bagent. What do you see? What are they going to go into? Where do we attack? So I like how hands-on he's been. I thought it was, like you put it, some more football porn for those of us that are
that's
just sort of
stuff.
tuning into Hard Knocks for that.
I'd like to see that at a bunch of different positions.
Yeah, not just the quarterback.
Yeah, I'd like to see that all over the place.
The quarterback's the sexy one, Yerk.
Yeah, I get it.
The sexy
Quarterback's the sexy, but the offensive line makes the world work.
It does.
Offensive line will dictate whether you will be successful or not.
Amen to that.
I'd like to see a little bit more of the O-line stuff. It's like there's nothing on Nate Davis.
That's not that sexy, Yerk. I think you really got to do
got to get to the bottom of it. That's one big issue that they've had.
I know.
The one thing that the head coach has done is said, hey, we're week to week on this guy. Yeah. In essence, we don't know what the hell's wrong with him.
It's just but
we're week to week now.
But Carmen's right. The country doesn't care.
That's like so in the weeds. You got to be such a football dork to appreciate that.
The country doesn't care.
They just
if
don't.
The country doesn't care about the offensive line, and I speak to nobody then.
Well, but
you know what I'm saying? I don't speak to nobody.
You don't speak to.
I don't think that
grammar's proper.
Either way, but it could be proper intentionally that way.
Yeah, it could be, I guess.
Could be intentional that way, to double negative, to let you know that I do speak to everyone.
That you do speak to everyone?
Uh-huh.
I think for the masses, it's just
that's too
not
bad.
that much sex appeal to
that's
it.
why you get what you get.
Yeah,
and that's why you get the pacing that you get. I mean, this is a slow waltz.
Yeah.
It's a slow waltz with a couple of pieces of excitement. That's it. Couple of nice things happen during the show, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that's what we got yesterday. We got some good stuff with the quarterbacks. Got some good stuff when they were they went back to the draft, and they talked about Booker and about the business of trying to get Booker and talking to different teams at different positions, trying to see if they'd be interested in next year's 4th-round draft choice. So that was some good stuff, too. That's some insight.
I thought that was good.
That's what I like.
Go inside the draft room on
Kevin
draft
Warren
weekend.
never needs to be on this the next 2 weeks.
Never.
If Kevin Warren is never in this the rest of the way, it's fine.
He doesn't so much as crack a smile or... I mean, he's very stoic, right? He's very matter-of-fact. He's all business.
He has nothing to offer.
They tried to sneak in a little propaganda.
Yeah, of course they did.
On the stadium.
Yeah, this is all I need. Kevin Warren, go get the stadium deal done in Arlington Heights, because that's where it's going to happen. So go get the deal done.
And I wish ultimately they'd just pay for it, but that's probably not going to happen.
And figure it out. You get it done. That's what you're here for. I don't need you involved in day-to-day football decisions. That's Ryan Pohl's job.
It does seem like he's got to say, though.
Well,
right?
I consulted him. Obviously, I had to consult on the whole Matthew Judon thing.
Right.
There's another thing, a little bit of insight on the trade.
Loved it.
This is what we're looking at. This is what we would like. We'd like him to sign a long-term deal here.
Slightly different than what was reported. The Bears had offered a contract to him.
Yes.
He didn't want it. They weren't going to budge. They let that ship sail, so to speak.
Right. Yeah.
And I can appreciate Ryan Poles taking that approach. Like, we want this player. Obviously, they wanted him. You're not offering up 3rd-round draft picks for you're not doing that willy-nilly. They obviously wanted Matthew Judon, and they know they have a problem or a weakness or a hole opposite of Montez Sweat right now. You don't start offering up draft picks and money without knowing you have a problem, without wanting a player. They didn't want to just give up that pick and have uncertainty, but he didn't deviate from what they're like,
I think they can go into the season with what they have right now. What they're looking for, if they're going to invest something in somebody, they're looking for a major upgrade. They're not looking for a minor upgrade. They're not looking for a 10 or a 15% increase on somebody. They're looking for a 50% increase on somebody.
I think it's we want you, but this is it, and we're not going to deviate from it. And I think that and that approach, I think, is good. Now,
if they really wanted Judon, they could have had him.
But they valued him a certain way.
Under certain parameters.
Yes.
This is how we like you. This is what we like you for.
Yes. And I think that's good.
Because something else went down the pipeline, they were more than happy to say, okay, goodbye. We're still going to stick with what we have here now.
Now, you could see, like, the different things going on in Poles' brain, and he let you inside a little when he said, we're going to feel pretty dumb if he has 20 sacks. But his guys are in there rationalizing it to him like, hey, we're following what we believe is right here. It's kind of like draft night when Ian Cunningham said, slow down. We don't need to trade up for Rome Odunze. He's going to be ours. Like, we believe in our process. We've run all these numbers a million times. Like, here's the probability that he's ours. Don't do anything crazy. They didn't. They got Rome Odunze. Same thing. You can see his guys talking to him very specifically. Like, we like him to a certain extent. This is where we're going to do it. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. And one of his guys tells him, like, you can, if you need to rationalize it, instead of saying, fine, we won't sign you to a deal, we'll give up a third, we just want you here. And then the risk is Matthew Judon walks in a year. Instead of trading a third-round pick for a year of a 32-year-old player coming off a torn bicep, they traded a fourth-round pick for 4 years of Austin Booker. His guy rationalized it to him that way. And he's like, yeah, you're right. And so they're sticking to this, like, their different processes, which is good. Like, you're not letting your emotion get too involved. And I think that's a good way for a front office to operate.
Well, you need to have discipline.
You need to have discipline. That's a great way to put it. Like, and they've got some discipline, right?
You've got to have discipline.
And so I thought that was a good insight into, like, the inner workings of how these things sometimes happen in the league. And I'm glad they kept that in. I'm glad the Bears didn't cut it out. Like, that was a good little sneak peek and some good insight. The Hard Knock Life, powered by the ComEd Efficiency Program, partnering with your businesses to save money and energy, and also our friends at Dr. Pepper. This is the Hard Knock Life, the recap of Hard Knocks. Let's sing the song just like Annie.
It's a hard knock life. Whatever. I don't even know it.
Who knows the words?
Not me. Not me. That's kind of the melody. Yeah.
Isn't it kind of?
You're close. You're close. I think you might have had a C minor in there.
I don't know. Maybe
C major.
Maybe I did.
Yeah.
So it's Carmen and Jurko. And if you want to react to anything you saw on Hard Knocks last night, or just talk Bears in general, you can with us. We're off a little early today. We got a slightly truncated show. We'll be off at 2. Connor McKnight and the crew will have pregame for Connor's been doing play-by-play. Len's been on TV. Connor's been on radio. Yep. We got White Sox and Giants from whatever they're calling that beautiful park at the Bay now. I stopped trying to keep
Candlestick.
Oracle. I don't know. I can't remember what it is. Whatever the hell it is.
Who cares?
Ballpark is beautiful.
I don't get paid to say it.
I don't get paid to say it either.
So
it's White Sox and
Francisco.
Giants as the White Sox try to avoid the sweep. Yes. 312-332-3776. If you want to ring us up, our buddy Ed in Plainfield. What up, Eddie?
Hey, dudes. It's always good when I hear a Philly Sid, a Viking Scott, the legacy callers. I freaking love those guys.
Legacy callers. I like that. You're a legacy caller, too.
Yeah.
Well, they go back to day one. But, I don't call as much, but I listen more, and it's always good to hear those guys.
And you moved.
From Lyle to
no more Lissel, yeah. So did the Bears shoot themselves in the foot, guys? They've had such a clamp on what gets aired, and then they choose, of all things, to show that they're going after the top defensive player available in Judon. And now, is there going to be a tax because other teams know they're, I don't want to say desperate, but you know what I mean?
I think it was Judon or nobody.
Or nobody. I think,
Yeah, I
or
think
by
that's
very
it.
low, Ed. I think
Yeah.
that's what it is. I mean, it's a valid question. Thanks, Eddie. It's a good question, but I think we want him. If we can get him, we'll do it. Otherwise, it's going to be where are cuts happening.
Yep.
And is Ngakoue still a possibility? And I think it's going to be very buy low now.
You're also at some point you're just going to play with what you have.
Well, that could be too.
And that's fine. I don't mind playing with what you have. It forces young guys to have to grow up sometimes.
You're usually pretty good at this. Ngakoue last year signed for $10.5 million. He won't sniff that. Not from the Bears or anybody else. No. So what could that number look like? And could it be very reasonable if the Bears come down to it the week before the season starts and say, yeah, we'll bring you back?
$6 million.
Oh, I was even going to say maybe slightly lower than that, but okay, $6 million. That's doable?
$6 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
They've got like $20 million still.
Why would you spend any more?
No. I'm not saying. I'm saying like that's even at 6. That seems very doable, I guess. Right, with the money that you still have.
1 year, $6 million.
1 year, $6 million. That's what it might look like.
He's a mercenary. He's proven over the course of his career he's been a mercenary.
Jadeveon Clowney at this point is a gun for hire. Yannick Ngakoue is a gun for hire.
Jadeveon's more of a 3 technique, an inside pass rusher.
You think really? You think he lines up like that a
lot?
Maybe
I do.
He took a deal in Carolina. Carolina's probably going to stink, but you know what? He's a gun for hire at this point. He'll go get his 9 sacks, right? It's like, he'll when he doesn't have another stud around him, it'll be interesting to see how productive he is. But he still had like 8.5, 9 sacks last year. It helps when you're playing with Myles Garrett, but he's a gun for hire.
Here's the problem with hired guns.
What is it?
Is they don't buy into your emotional philosophy, that team building that you've started from training camp in the offseason. When you bring the hired gun in, he's like the outsider, the guy that's camping out outside the group of 6, 7, like in the Magnificent 7.
Yeah.
There's 6 around the campfire, then he'd be a little bit further off doing his own thing.
Yeah.
You got to be careful with the guys that are going to be doing their own thing, because you still have a team philosophy.
Yeah.
Even though they know Ngakoue.
They do.
Even though they know him a little bit.
And they said they like him a lot.
Yeah.
Forgive me, it was 2 years ago. Kalani was Cleveland. Last year was with Metabike and the guys in Baltimore. But yeah, like Kalani just goes from team to team at this point. Guys like Ngakoue just go from team to team. We talked about it last year, how many different teams he's been on. And I mean, Eberflus had complimentary things to say about him, the person, the player. They like him. Maybe he's still an option, but I think now it's buy low if you can, or what Jurko said, you're just going to have to line up with the guys you have. You're going to have to hope Austin Booker is what you think he might be. And,
or the guy we talked to, DeMarcus
Walker.
Yeah.
Or Daniel Hardy. What a story that would be.
Well, that would be
a relatively unknown kid who was on the practice squad.
Who's the guy on the other side? Dominic Robinson,
who was a draft pick of theirs, 2 years ago now, but hasn't really flashed much.
Might be a goodbye to Dominic Robinson.
Might be.
And a hello to Booker and Hardy.
Chris in Coal City. What's going on, Chris?
Hey, what's up, guys? So I'm still in on Micah Parsons. If we can make it happen, boy. I think I don't know. We're paying Caleb peanuts right now, and then by the time we have to pay him, Sweat will probably be, maybe on his way out. Then, we replace him with Micah. Do you think that's even a possibility?
I find it hard to believe, Chris. I mean, I find it hard to believe that Dallas lets him get away ultimately, don't you? I mean, why would they? A 25-year-old, what is he, 25-year-old star pass rusher? How old's Micah? I mean, I don't know. It seems unlikely, Chris, that they would let a player like that get away. You don't want players like that to leave. That's what you always dream of, right, Yerk? When you draft a player and you hit on him.
Yeah,
and he's a stud,
their dilemma is what do they have and how much can they spend?
I know, because CD might get it.
They got CeeDee Lamb. They got Parsons. They're all coming due.
Mike is coming into his age 25 season. Here are Micah Parsons' sack totals in his first 3 years. 13, 13 and a half, 14.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
legitimate.
Yeah, it's tough to say you're going to let
All right, but here's your dilemma.
You know what I mean?
You're going to have 60-year quarterback. You're going to have about 28 to 30 for your wide receiver, and you're going to have your pass rushing stud guy coming off the corner getting 25.
Now you still have
do the math.
You still have this year in the 5th-year option.
You got Micah. 3 players that are going to be get paid $100 million.
I know.
Now you got $155 million for the rest of everybody else, and you can fudge those numbers for a couple of years, where depending upon how you pay it,
yeah,
and how much you guarantee. So you can fudge those numbers for a couple of years and bring that down, but eventually that comes back to roost. Eventually, you've got to pay that money.
Man, he's good. 312-332-3776. That's the number. You can ring us up. Anything you like from Hard Knocks. If you think they still have an issue over on that other side, opposite of Sweat, and obviously they think it's, I don't know, maybe an issue, but they want to upgrade. You saw that last night. They kept it in, like Ed Plainfield said, for the whole world to see. We wanted another pass rusher. We wanted Judon. Where are they going to find it?
I worry more about the offensive line than the defensive line.
All right, build on that next for me a little bit more.
And I didn't think that was going to be the issue.
All right, build on that for me a little bit more. Expound on that a little bit more. Coming up, 312-332-3776 for Carmen and Jurko. We'll be right back.